Hello everybody, National Guard 5 here, and sorry about that, with my last live stream. Basically, my dad came in, didn't realize I was doing a live stream, I had to end it abruptly, so 3 times the charm, let's try again. Alright, so as the title implies, positives and negatives, which one's the best, and which one can go, well, since I'm not made for kids, which one can go suck it? Um, what I just brought in was a freight car, and it rolled straight down. But hopefully, I can use it as kind of a mount for the time being. Nope, too light, so I'll have to use something heavier in order to get this done. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try without it. So the first one I'm gonna start with is the Flying Scotsman once again. So it's not really just troubleshooting. Hello, Jaden. This one actually just had a problem. I was trying to gently lift it, and I guess it slipped out of my hands, and now look. The damn tender shell broke clean off. Not happy. Not happy. It does fit back in its original spot, but again, not very fun. It's a rat's nest, isn't it? I might as well show the inside. So, I've got a speaker, but I don't like how it's positioned. Let me just move the brain out. So yeah, that's the speaker right there, being just held down with tape right next to the wheels. Yeah, Jaden, why don't you let other people know I'm doing a live stream? But yeah, if that's an ESU, like a European one, but it's a rat's nest of wires, and they're all sitting right next to the wheels. What I want to do somehow is like build a little platform that can sit on top of that, and that way none of the components like come into contact with the wheels, because the last thing I want is shredded wires. It's kind of plain. It's a pretty basic model. Another problem is that there's parts that are very fragile. You can see right here, the one of the front buffers broke off, and kind of sad. They don't have springs in them like some do, and both couplings are missing. Although I actually don't want the front one. Dang it, I derailed it. Well, the good thing is it's sitting on a crossroads. So I just moved back. There we go. The 2 people that are in here, please let other people know I am doing a live stream. The more the merrier. So just let them know. And, you have to keep these oiled up a little bit. I wouldn't use heavy oil, like car oil. I'd use something light. But the positive, well, actually, now that I think about it, there's not a whole lot of positives about this one, other than the fact that the motor, which is right about where my finger is pretty darn powerful. This thing, when I was running it at my railroad club, sure, it hit a couple of dead spots here and there, but this thing pulled, and it could pull a lot more if I could get a knuckle couple on there, and it pulled like American Freight and all that. But to me, I just don't like how brittle. I wouldn't say brittle. How easily breakable this thing is. Again, I was just gently trying to pull it up, and I guess my hand slipped, and the next thing I know, that fell apart. So yeah, I'm already thinking that this guy right here is the worst model I have. Even though it's a Hornby model, I really don't like. I like the model. I like the history behind the Flying Scotsman, but this model here, and you saw the tender fall over. Damn it. Already saying, stay. This model's the worst. I think I'm already starting to think of it. The Hornby model, I might get a new one. There's certain things that don't move, kind of basic. I'm gonna say this one's probably the worst of the bunch. Let's move on to this one right here. This is Union Pacific 7009. It is a mountain type. Let me just put it on the track here. Pick it up gently. It's hard doing 2 things at once, especially when you're holding the camera. See if we can use that crossroad to re-rail it, mostly. There we go. I see 2 people, then it's 1 person, so whatever. So, let's get it on the track. There we go. Perfect. Behave yourself. Nope. I've heard something come off the track. Nope. There we go. Okay. Just get all the wheels on. There we go. So this is a Backman Spectrum. The Scotsman was a Hornby. This one's a little bit better in terms of detailing. I mean, you got, I believe that's the sandbox or sand something. Hey, there's Jay 4449. What's up? Stick around, pal. You haven't been on a live stream in a while, but I believe that is the where the sand is kept. I think that's the boiler. I forget what this is. And I think that's the filler cap on the butt there, as I call it. It just went from 3 to 1. Come on, guys, stick with it. Stick with it, please. But this guy needs a decoder primarily in the tender, and also where the sway bar, as I'm calling it, right where my finger is down there, the peg that holds it to the tender is non-existent. It broke off. So should I use a nail, a screw to hold that sway bar in place? I'm also missing the back and front couplers on this, guys. And I saw Anthony show up, so you two stay. Actually, can you two let everyone else know I'm doing a live stream, please? I know you guys are there. The thing I actually want for this whistle, and I'm gonna need some help on that. I want Puffa's whistle from Tugs to be this one's whistle. I really do. Another thing I wanted to ask is why in the hell on some models I see, whether it's trains or in real life, why the hell is there a skull and wheel like that on a mountain logo for the second drive wheel and the other ones look like this? It makes no sense. This one I would say is a pretty good model. It's a Backman Spectrum, so it's a little more detailed than Hornby, and once again, you guys missed it. This tender decided to implode a little bit. It looks fine, but it's not. This guy's okay. I've seen better Backman models, honestly. Let me just move him out of the way. And Jay and Anthony, if you're still there, please, please, please let everyone know that I'm doing a live stream. Please. Let them know, darn it. Alright, who should I move to next? Who to pick? Who to pick? Screw it. Let's grab this little guy right here. Help me! Alright, let's put you on the tracks. Be a good boy. Alright, this is another Backman model. It's not a Spectrum. This is just regular Backman. Let me get a little light. I just noticed it got a little dark in here. There we go. So this is a Backman Santa Fe Porter tank. Yes, Anthony, I see that. But yeah, Anthony, please let everyone we know to join in the live stream, please. I know Jay was here a minute ago. But yeah, this is the Porter tank, ETSF 2240. And Anthony, I'm gonna repeat it one more time. Jay and Anthony, just let everyone we know I'm doing a live stream, because I've only got 2 views and no likes. Anyway, this one actually I think is a lot better than the Backman Spectrum engine over there. It's got a little more detailing than that one, despite it being smaller. Well, if they're busy, that's fine. But still, those that aren't, bring them over. And hit that like button, darn it. But this guy has a little more detail. I think that's an external water feeder heater where my finger is. This darn camera would focus. One of those is a boiler. One of those is a sandbox. The funnel I kind of like. It's a unique shape. The headlights up here instead of on the nose. I don't know if there's any cab detail. I've just picked it up to take a look inside. And it does. It's just really hard to see because the interior of the cab is black. And I noticed right about where my finger is, right behind the last drive wheel, is a little hole on both sides. And I thought maybe you could turn it into an 062 tank engine. And I just noticed there's no viewers, but maybe everyone will show up a little later. I hope. This one does have a little bit of loose, like if I'm just jiggling it by right where the running board is, or not running board, this little front piece right here. I'm just moving it a little bit, and look at how much it's jiggling. It's like it has bad shocks or something like that, or bad springs. But to me, that gives it a little more life. I kind of feel this could become an 062 just because of those 2 little holes right where my finger is. You could turn it into an 062 tank engine. The main problem with this guy, as well as these 2 over here, is none of them have traction wheels, a little ring of rubber on one set. And on this one, I'm thinking it would probably be on the back wheels. That way it could pull more, because you've seen it pull, and it struggles up some of the hills on my Model Railroad Club's layout. Not to say it's a bad puller, it's just it struggles when it has a somewhat heavy load. The maximum I was able to pull was 6 cars plus a caboose. But it's got a good detail. It's got a good pulling power. The mountain one has kind of a bad motor, but anyway, let's move on to the next engine. We'll put them over there. Now who to choose? Because now we have reached pretty much all the, well, aside from that one, no, actually there's four Northerns. Who to review first? Oh shit, I don't have any viewers now. Why? Come back, people, come back. Oh, I just noticed that right there. And push Union Pacific, push him back. These two look a little alike just because of the smoke deflectors. But let's start with this one right here. This one also has a couple of problems that affected it down the road. This one this one's also kind of heavy. I'm just gonna keep talking like you guys are there. I know you'll show up later. Let me just get the tender on there. Who would have thought of a 4444 tank engine? That would be quite the shock from the Pennsylvania Railroad. And we all know that Penn Central was the worst decision ever made. It was like the Sonic 06 of railroads. It was that bad. Alright, but here is Broadway Limited's Paragon 2 Pennsylvania duplex. The 44444. That is such a tongue twister. Number 5536. So once again, we got LNER 4472, Union Pacific 7009, ATSF 2240. Now we've got Pennsylvania 5536. And yes, this character is actually going to show up in Stories in the States a little later on as Tony on my roster. But he won't show up for a while. He probably won't be here until the end of the first season, the beginning of the second season. But anyway, this one actually has a bit of weight to it, especially in the front. I think it's in part because of the smoke unit. But just look at how streamlined this thing is. This was designed by Raymond Lowry, and that name might sound a little bit familiar to you guys. But basically, one thing that's a little interesting is this one here actually has a moving vent on top. The other three, they're there, but they're kind of just part of the whole plastic molding. This one actually wobbled a bit when it was moving, like it would rock to side. I always thought that gave it a little life, but at the same time, I don't think that was supposed to happen. Another thing that was interesting was when this thing was letting off smoke, it would actually pour out a little bit down here, and that gave it a little more life, like it had a little bit of a leaky steam issue. In real life, the T1s were very prone to violent wheel slip, both on startup and during their journeys. But the two units, I believe, were supposed to give a lot of speed and power to the T1s. I think they're the successor to the S1, and that one's a very rare find in the model railroading industry, especially in the HO scale. Again, and there's the tender, but here are the two main problems. You see this piece that's hanging out right here? That there is the decoder plug, but the problem itself lies in the tender. The tender plug is actually fine. Like the decoder plug, if my camera will focus. Basically, the decoder plug is fine, but the decoder itself actually got fried because this guy actually has a very, very low, it has a very low, cow catcher, if you want to put it, or a plow. I won't call it plow. Cow catcher. It's right there where my finger is. That thing is too low, and every time it would, I want to try to shave that off or cut it off somehow, because every time it would dip down, because it does have a bit, it can dip down, it would short out whenever it would touch. It couldn't get, it was just way too low to the track. Like if you look, if I can just get the camera in the right spot, it's pretty much on the ground. Sorry that my camera just refuses to focus sometimes. Bring it in here. There we go. So you can see how low this thing is. There's barely any breathing room on the track. So it is a little annoying to see something like that. But the decoder's fried. The cow catcher is too darn low to the track. Those are the two main problems I have with this thing. Also, the sound is when it was running was way too loud. Even when I tried turning it down, this had a monster of a sound of a speaker inside that tender. So Those were the main problems with this guy. I'll move on to the next one though. Um, but again, it runs great. It has a great motor inside it. So those are the positives and negatives with this one. Just move it out of the way. Okay, who to review next? Well, that one's an eye catcher already. I might as well review this one. Get on the tracks here. And there we go. This is Santa Fe 3751. This is Broadway Limited Paragon 3 this time around. I did have a Paragon 2, but it ran into all kinds of mechanical problems. And if you want to say it, if I want to put it bluntly, it is kind of like spare parts for this guy. I'll explain why in a minute. This one has a dummy front coupler, so that doesn't work. So it can only pull things. It can technically push, but it can't. So anyway, the thing that I do like about this particular one, sorry, my dad's watching something in the background. I thought someone had shown up unexpectedly. But the thing I like about this one, it has a lot more detailing. It looks a lot more akin to what the real life 3751 does. The whistle in particular just sounds a lot like what it wears now. Its predecessor had something different. The alternate whistles sounds a lot better on this one too. Paragon 2's 3751 had a weird N&W A-class hooter whistle, which didn't make a lick of sense. The one little problem I do have with this guy is in the driving rods. Basically, the rods are a little bit loose, and I have the tool to tighten it, but at the same time I don't want to tighten it too much to where it locks up. That was one thing I tried doing, and I accidentally locked up the wheels one time, and the darn thing, it had trouble moving, especially in the corners. So that's its main problem, but I love its overall look, overall shape, and the sounds it makes. And just like the T1, the vents are movable, which I like. Let's move him over. It's going to get a little cluttered over there, but I have no views, only one light. Oh well. Alright, let's move to this one. This is the second of 3 streamline engines I will take a look at. This is another Backman model. I made this one look like a Mastodon. That's a 480. Here we go. This is another Northern class. We can get that last wheel on. There we go. So this is Norfolk Western number 611, the J class. This one's a little basic, a little too basic, but I do like what Backman did with the wheel arrangements here. Specifically the driving rods. This looks like this is what 611 looks like. It's got the streamlined look, which is great. The wires, it's a little hard to see, but they're nice and organized. They're not all over the place like some of them are. Unfortunately, I don't believe this has a smoke unit, and even if I took a look, no, it does not. And besides, you just told me, please rotate device. So, okay, fine. Okay, can I look down? Well, I can't tell. Let me take a look myself. Nope, it doesn't. It just looked like it for a split second because of the lighting. But nope, it does not have one. It's a pretty basic model. It does have it has absolutely no. Well, there's a spot right here where like the coupling could be placed like in a little pocket. But this one's kind of basic. Cold load looks okay. It's just a pretty basic model. It runs well. I will not lie. Oh, someone showed up. Say hello. But yeah, this one's kind of basic. Again, the one thing I found with this guy actually was, as I was running it, I heard like a weird popping noise as it was running around, and now the one person left. Darn it. It was making a weird popping noise, and I realized this piece right here where my thumb was too close, like it was squished in, and it would make the weird clicking noise. I had to bend it outwards just a little bit. It was actually on the other side. You can see where my finger is, where the shadow is. It was making a weird click noise, and that's what was causing the noise. It's been fixed since. But again, this is a pretty decent model. I wouldn't say it's great, but it does have its positives. Only negatives, it's a little too basic in terms of overall appearance, that J-Class. Alright, I got 3 more to go. Might as well review the last of the Streamliners, and I will review this one. Actually, yeah, might as well. I'm putting it down anyway. Someone joined the live stream. Awesome. Stick around. I got 2 more engines after this one to take a look at. Let people know that I'm doing a live stream, whoever you are, and say hello in the chat. Anyway, this is the jewel of the engines I hold. Hello, Anthony. Hopefully you let everyone know if they're busy. I get it. Stick around though, Anthony. This is the jewel of my fleet. This is New York Central. 54, 53, this is the J3A Dreyfuss Hudson. Only 10 of these were built back in the day. And they pulled the 20th Century Limited, a high-speed express train from New York City to Chicago. And it was in 16 hours, which made it great. The amount of detail on this one is beautiful. By the way, Sunny is spelled with an O, not a U, dude. I have a character in Stories in the States. His name is Sonny, named after Sonny Corleone. But again, the detailing on this one is amazing. I love how intricate it gets right around here. The shine on the wheels, or like the detailing on the wheels, like the front wheels here have a great shine to them. The skull and wheels on this look amazing. When I saw these, I thought, I'm like, what the kind of wheels are those? They look awesome. The one thing I find a little funny is that the wheel in front is right there where my finger is. I think it's not on the rails. There we go. The small wheel up there, darn it, I derailed it, I think. No, it's on the rails. The one right here, it's smaller than this one. This one's bigger, and I can never understand why. There's something there. I don't know if that's an electric pickup, which would be weird for a steam engine, but there's underneath a little water scoop. It's a little hard to see, but that's what they used. Coal load looks great. I run my hand on it. It feels good. Like this one here feels kind of bleh. Oh yeah, Anthony, look. It just pops right off. I tried to move it earlier in the live stream, and the thing slipped out of my hands. I tried to grab it, and then the glue just fell apart. So, thanks, Scotsman. You ruined it. Pole feels kind of good on that one. Kind of good. And right there, man, that feels good. Obviously, that one doesn't have coal. It's an oil burner. Hey, Jay. Good to see you. Stick around. Let others know. You know what I'm saying. These 2 are the last 2 I'll review. But again, this one is the jewel of my fleet. The thing I also like, yes, I know I'm doing a booty shot, but whatever. I like how this is the only one out of all the engines. Well, now that I think about it, that one there has the same thing, the Flying Scotsman. It has a little corridor tender. This one kind of has that, but it leads right up to, I think, the water filler spot. That way, like, the engineer fireman can get to the water. It does have a smoke unit. I keep forgetting to put smoke in it, actually, every time I run it. Next time I do, I will. The only little downside I find is in the motor. The motor, when it runs forward, it runs fine, but every time it runs backwards, and the center wheel is actually the driving wheel, it makes a weird buzz noise, and I can't figure that out. Maybe someone can let me know either in the live stream or in the chat after this is over why it makes that little buzzing noise. But I'll also let Broadway Limited know about that one. And a slight disappointment too is, unlike majority of my engines, this one does not have a sliding vent, which is a little disappointing. It's part of the tooling, which is a little sad, but the thing about this is a rarity. This is a Broadway Limited Dreyfuss Hudson. The MTH ones are abundant, but not Broadway, which speaks volumes, I think. That's because I think Broadway's is a higher quality than MTH. But if you like MTH, let me know. That's just my honest opinion as to why these guys are a bit of a rarity. Alright, last 2. We got which one? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a logo by the wheel. Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a wheel No! Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a logo by the wheel. If it screams, let it go. Okay. Gonna look at this one. This one. Try to get it gently. It's a little bit heavy. There we go. Just get it on the tracks now. Anthony, you'll recognize this one in a heartbeat because of the number. If you're still here. Because this guy is also going to be the main crux of Stories in the States when that comes out. And if, for those wondering that haven't heard of that, it's basically, what if the engines of Sodor came to the United States? British stuff on American rails makes more sense than the other way around. But, ladies and germs, this is Union Pacific 844, and technically it is a cousin to the Dreyfus Hudson because they were both built by Alco, but 844 is special because it was the last steam engine built for Union Pacific. It's got a good amount of detail, just like everyone else, but it does have parts I kind of wish weren't actually parts. There's a bar, like a metal bar right here. It's a little hard to see. It looks like a fuzzy something moving. It's completely bent out of shape. That's the only part I find. The vent actually doesn't slide. It actually kind of pops open like that. It's on a hinge, which I think is kind of cool. There is a little issue I had when I first had it. Basically, it's right here. This was held down with, I think, you can see those little white markings. I think it like slid in like that. It would slide in and lock into place. But I think I caught it when I accidentally dropped it once, but I caught it. But as I did so, I think I squeezed on the tender and it popped that straight out. So yeah, there's a little bit of that going there. The smoke deflectors do actually come off, but I don't want to pull them off because, this guy here, in a way, he would behave a little like a tarantula. The moment you try to tug him off, he'd like try to bite you if you try to take off his smoke deflector. So I'm not going to do that. Another thing that SP4449 Fan 1 needs to take note of, no Mars lights. That's how I want that engine in Stories in the States to be. Because Mars lights, none of my engines, now that I look at them, really have Mars lights. None of them do. They all have the standard headlight of, it's just a headlight. There's no Mars light. I find they look better that way. I guess another little knock with this one is how it's a little loose, but it's the driving rod here. It's just a tad loose for my liking. There's not really a way to do that. And also the crank pins, I guess, they stick out a little too far. And this wheel in particular, the one I'm poking at, kind of wobbles when it moves. I'll have to get that taken a look at. But it hasn't affected the overall performance. I've had this guy for about a year, I think, and that wobbly wheel really hasn't affected the engine entirely, which is nice. If I go back here, though, another little disappointment is that the cab doesn't have a footplate, and neither can those doors open. They're pretty much sealed up, but I think the cab has some interior detailing. Look in here, there is room for a smoke unit. I can see little contact points, I think, down there. So this does have the ability to have a smoke unit installed, I believe. But for the sake of it, I'm not going to. If I think I see electrical wires. Well, it could just be part of the tooling. But this guy has had a lot of screen time along with Santa Fe 3751. The others have kind of popped in here and there. Like one of the videos you might have seen was during an operating session where I was using this little guy to shunt some freight cars up in the mines during that session. And then to kind of end it, I had both 844 and 2240 like this, pulling like a 4-car train because it was a light load. It was getting towards the end of the operating session. I had these two running, and I had to speed match them. It was really annoying because this guy's got a powerful motor. I think again it'd be like right about here, and this little guy's just he's working overtime or whatever. But yeah, you can find that on my channel. But yeah, move him out of the way. This guy's been paired up with quite a few engines on my channel. Like either racing them or saying hello to other engines. It's a lot of fun. Again, there are some pieces that are a little too loose. But other than that, this is a fantastic runner. I will not lie. This is also an Athearn Genesis model, which I think is probably one of the best of the bunch, really. Athearn Genesis does last, and yeah, that's what I'd say. And the last but not least is this guy right here. This is to the casual person. Oh, Delaware and Hudson. Okay. But in truth, it is a Reading T1 Rambler in disguise. So it's like Team Fortress 2's spy, if you will. The coal load on this one actually looks really good. Look at that. It looks beautiful. And just to the touch, feels good too. This was my first locomotive all the way back in, I think, 2017 or 2016, I think. I got it for Christmas. And the thing I like is, I'm actually looking at it now, it looks like a mini 844, now that I think about it. The smoke deflectors are a little bit smaller. There's an inaccuracy, though. That headlight is actually supposed to be embedded into the smoke box door, but instead it's like sitting on a little pedestal. Again, this was my first logo I got, but it has hit some problems. This is a Paragon 3, by the way, so it's a Broadway. The headlight doesn't work, and I accidentally drowned out the smoke unit because I was new to model railroad. I didn't know how much to put in. I put quite a lot in there the first time, and I killed the smoke unit, and I think in turn the headlight. And another thing is the decoder plugs are so delicate, and right there, it's a little hard to see, but the decoder plug is actually broken. That's the main problem. And then underneath the ash pan, I think there's a missing screw, and that could lead to trouble if I let it stay that way for too long. And yeah, those are all the engines I have. Yeah, those are the only ones I have. And if you also noticed, I don't own a single diesel. No diesel. Because I love steam engines. Why is that? Because I prefer steam. Oh, hey, Jake. Yeah, Flying Scotsman's over here, and, hang on. Yeah, Flying Scotsman's right here, and basically I tried to put it on the track, it fell on my hand, I went to catch it, and that happened. Not fun. Glue is not good. But yeah, I'm pretty much solely steam, and, this one I think it's... Nope. Dang it, the vents on this thing don't move. No! They're just part of the plastic mold, which kind of sucks. But yeah, I own quite a few steam engines. A couple of them I need to get fixed. I'll point them out real quick. Again, it's this one. The Reading T1 Rambler, running as Delaware Hudson. By the way, I think that's the only engine that has white walls. With the white rimming, which I think is kind of cool. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, this one right here, the Penzi T1. This one's heavy, even on its own. That cow catcher needs to have a whole part chopped off. And, yeah, the side rods here. I always like that. And I found out something interesting while I'm still talking about this. Let me finish with this. So I have this right here. The side rod, the cow catcher, my bad, bleh, needs to come off. And it also needs a new decoder. Where is its butt? Where did I put its butt? Ah, there's its butt right there. There it is right here. This just needs a new decoder, basically. But I love how big Pennsylvania is. If you were to slant the other half of this, like if you push the coal load back, still have the slant here and then have the same slant up front, this would be a GG1 right here, a Penzi GG1. That'd be dope. Anyway, so that's the problem with the Penzi. And then this one just needs a decoder and some couplers, plus a pin for the drawbar. And then this one here, well, I don't know what to do with you. You are a pain in my booty because you are a British locomotive. I mean, I got nothing against British engines, but it's just like, come on. I have to work with you too, you know? But yeah, those are all my steam engines to date. I might get one more, maybe a small one. Because I got, like, let's see, I got 1, 2, 3... 4 Northerns, a Mountain, a Pacific, a Hudson, and a Duplex. I need a small one. Oh wait, no, I do. Where is he? He's hiding. Oh, there he is. The little porter tank's hiding behind 844. And then if you guys saw it, I have a whole bunch of coaches and cars. I have a lot of stuff. Like the thing that I like is this right here. Is a 20th Century Limited. I've only got 8 coaches, but I need to switch out the plastic wheels with metal. The hooks need to be switched too. And I also need to weigh them, like put weights in them, because they're way too light right now. And I do have a couple British cars here and there. Some are from Mexico, like that blue box car over there. I'll review those in a future video. But I wanted to show the positives and negatives. I'll sum it up real quick. So, really good pulling power. I'll say it with all of them. All of them, except for maybe 2, have really good detail. So, smooth runner, great pulling power, constantly shorts, decoder is fried. Runs good, good pulling abilities, headlight smoke unit busted, decoder plug busted. Very reliable runner, has multiple sounds, has a couple of loose parts that shouldn't be loose parts. Small in size, decent shunting abilities, has a decent amount of pulling power, no traction wheels. Decent puller, no traction wheels. No traction wheels. Too plain. Tender imploded. Decent puller, but no traction wheels. Very good pulling power for this one right here. Traction wheels. Just wish that the coupler in front was a legit coupler. Anyway, that's enough of that. Glad you stuck around. Whoever did stick around, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream. Till then.